Simple Steps to Break Free from Self-Doubt Today, an audiobook by Rooted in Self-Love. Before we begin, I wanted to thank you for being a part of this journey with me. I am building a community of women that are stepping into their power and living to their full potential. There is a lot to look forward to in this journey. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any videos or updates on resources and activities in the community. Chapter 1. The Voice That Holds You Back. Have you ever noticed a voice inside your head that seems to speak louder whenever you're about to take a leap? It's the one that whispers, "You're not ready. You'll embarrass yourself. Others are better than you." That voice is not some external enemy. It's your inner critic, the part of your mind that feeds on self-doubt. For many of us, the inner critic showed up early in life. Maybe a teacher's harsh comment, a parent's high expectations, or a painful comparison planted its roots. Over time, the critic learned to mimic authority, disguising itself as logic or protection. Psychology research calls this negative self-talk, a mental habit where we magnify our flaws and minimize our strengths. Studies from the National Science Foundation show that the average person has thousands of thoughts per day, and a startling percentage lean toward the negative, left unchecked. These thoughts shape how we see ourselves, influencing confidence, decision-making, and even our willingness to dream. But here's the truth. You're not alone in hearing this voice. Every person you admire, whether an artist, entrepreneur, or parent, has battled with self-doubt. The difference is not that they never heard the critic, but that they learned not to give it the final word. Think of self-doubt like a protective but misguided friend. It wants to shield you from risk, from failure, from pain. Yet in trying to protect you, it often cages you. Imagine a bird that longs to fly but keeps being told, "The sky is too dangerous." Over time, it forgets its wings. This chapter begins your journey of remembering. The inner critic may never vanish completely, but you can learn to recognize its voice, question its authority, and choose a kinder dialogue with yourself. Breaking free from self-doubt starts not with silencing the critic, but with realizing you are more than the voice that holds you back. Chapter 2. Where self-doubt comes from. If self-doubt is the voice that holds us back, then where did it come from? No one is born doubting themselves. Watch any toddler take their first steps. There's no hesitation, only a determination to try again after each fall. Self-doubt is something we learn, shaped by the environments and experiences that form us. Childhood is often the first place the seeds are planted. Attachment theory tells us that when children receive consistent support, they develop secure attachments and a sense of safety. But when love feels conditional, based on performance, obedience, or perfection, children may internalize the belief that they are only good enough when they achieve. This fragile foundation makes the inner critic louder later in life. Neuroscience gives us another layer of understanding. Our brains are wired to pay more attention to threats than to neutral or positive experiences. This negativity bias once kept our ancestors alive by making them cautious of danger. Today, it can cause us to fixate on our mistakes rather than our strengths. A single harsh comment can echo louder than a dozen compliments, leaving lasting imprints on our confidence. Society adds its own weight. From a young age, we are compared grades in school, athletic ability, looks, or popularity. Social media amplifies this comparison culture, bombarding us with curated highlight reels that rarely reflect reality. The result: a constant sense of not measuring up, even when we are doing just fine. Studies on confidence confirm this pattern. Research from the University of Melbourne shows that people with higher self-esteem in childhood are more likely to experience success later in life, not simply because they are more capable, but because they believe they are. Confidence, it turns out, often precedes competence. Understanding where self-doubt comes from doesn't erase it overnight, but it does give us perspective. That voice of doubt, it isn't your true self. It's a learned pattern, a combination of childhood messages, brain wiring, and cultural noise. And what has been learned with patience and practice can be unlearned. Chapter 3, The Cost of Carrying Doubt. Self-doubt is heavy, though it carries no physical weight. It settles quietly on the shoulders, bending posture, dimming laughter, and softening dreams until they feel unreachable. At first, it whispers, but over time, its echoes can shape the way we move through life. The cost of carrying doubt is not always obvious. It hides in the job never applied for, the love never pursued, the words left unspoken. It steals joy by keeping us second-guessing, even in moments meant to be savored. It robs peace by flooding the mind with what-ifs and not-enoughs. It shrinks the present moment into a battlefield of hesitation. Psychology research calls this decision paralysis. When doubt grows loud, the brain struggles to make choices, even small ones. Studies at Stanford University show that self-doubt and overthinking can impair the brain's prefrontal cortex, the area responsible for decision-making. This creates a loop. The more you doubt, the harder it is to choose. The harder it is to choose, the more you doubt. Stress is another price. Neuroscience reminds us that doubt triggers the body's stress response. Cortisol levels rise, heart rates quicken, and over time, the constant hum of self-questioning can erode emotional health. Researchers at the University of California found that chronic self-doubt correlates with higher levels of anxiety and depressive symptoms, proving that doubt is not just an inconvenience, it is a burden on mental well-being. And yet, perhaps the greatest cost of all is the erosion of possibility. Every time we let doubt dictate our steps, a door quietly closes. We may never see where that path could have led. Over months and years, those lost doors accumulate, leaving us with a life smaller than the one we were capable of living. To carry doubt is to live caged in a world of diminished light. But here is the good news. Cages can be opened. Recognizing the cost of doubt is the first step toward laying it down, toward reclaiming the joy, opportunities, and peace that have always been waiting for you. Chapter 4. Recognizing your triggers. Self-doubt rarely appears out of nowhere. More often, it is awakened, sparked by certain moments, environments, or relationships that press against old wounds. Recognizing these triggers is the first step in loosening their power. Cognitive behavioral therapy, or CBT, teaches us that thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are interconnected. A trigger, whether it's criticism, comparison, or a past failure, can ignite a chain reaction. First comes the thought, I'm not good enough. Then the feeling, anxiety, shame, hesitation. Finally, the behavior, holding back, procrastinating, or staying silent. By learning to spot this cycle, you can begin to interrupt it before doubt takes over. Consider a few common examples. You might notice that scrolling through social media leaves you questioning your own progress, or maybe feedback at work, even when constructive, awakens an old memory of being judged. For some, walking into a room full of confident voices makes their own voice shrink. These are not random reactions. They are patterns often rooted in earlier experiences where you felt unseen, unsafe, or unworthy. Research backs this up. Psychologists have found that people often overestimate how negatively others perceive them, a phenomenon known as the spotlight effect. This bias makes everyday situations, like speaking up in a meeting or sharing an idea, feel riskier than they truly are. In reality, Most people are far less critical of us than our inner critic suggests. Here's where awareness becomes powerful. The next time you feel that familiar knot in your stomach, pause and ask, what just happened? Who was I with? What story did my mind start telling me? Writing these patterns down can turn vague anxiety into clear insight. Over time, you begin to see the map of your triggers, and with it, the possibility of change. Recognizing your triggers doesn't mean you'll never feel doubt again. It means you'll start catching it in real time with enough clarity to choose a different response. And that clarity is the beginning of freedom. Chapter 5, Rewriting the Script in Your Mind. If self-doubt is a story you've been telling yourself, then healing begins with rewriting the script. The thoughts in your mind are not set in stone. They are habits, and habits can change. Neuroscience calls this neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to form new connections and pathways. Every time you practice a new way of thinking, you strengthen it, just like exercising a muscle. One of the simplest tools for rewriting is reframing. Imagine you make a mistake at work. Your old script says, I always mess things up. Reframing asks you to pause and shift perspective. I made one mistake, but I also did many things right today. This is a chance to learn. The event hasn't changed, but the meaning you give it has. Over time, this practice weakens the critic's voice and strengthens your own. Another tool is affirmations, but here's the key. They must feel believable. If you tell yourself, I'm perfect and unstoppable, but deep down you don't believe it, the inner critic will scoff. Instead, choose affirmations that stretch you without breaking trust. For example, I am learning to trust myself. Or, I am worthy of respect, even when I'm growing. Research from Carnegie Mellon University shows that self-affirmation activates brain regions tied to self-processing and resilience, proving that kind words to yourself aren't just fluff, they actually reshape the brain. Let's make this practical. The next time you catch a harsh thought, try this 3-step exercise. 1. Notice the critic's line. Write it down if you can. 2. Challenge it. Ask, is this thought completely true? What evidence do I have for and against it? 3. Replace it with a kinder, truer version. Think of it as editing a draft. You're not erasing your mind, just improving the script. Day by day, the rewrites add up, and your mind begins to tell a different story, one where you are capable, worthy, and free to try again. Chapter 6, Building an Inner Safe Space. When the world feels uncertain and the inner critic grows loud, you need a place you can return to, a sanctuary within yourself. This inner safe space isn't a physical room, but an emotional refuge built on practices of self-love, mindfulness, and faith. It's where you remind yourself, I am safe. I am held. I belong to myself. Psychologist Kristen Neff, a pioneer in self-compassion research, found that people who treat themselves with kindness rather than judgment experience lower anxiety, greater resilience, and improved overall well-being. Self-compassion works like an inner shelter. When storms of doubt or failure hit, you have a place to rest instead of being swept away. How do you build this refuge? Through small, intentional practices. Meditation offers one path, simply sitting still, breathing deeply, and allowing thoughts to come and go without judgment. Studies in neuroscience show that mindfulness meditation reduces activity in the brain's fear center, the amygdala, and strengthens regions linked to calm and emotional regulation. Each practice is like laying a brick in the walls of your safe space. For many, prayer is another cornerstone. Whispered prayers can be both surrender and strength, a reminder that you are not carrying life alone. Whether it's a psalm, a simple thank you, or a heartfelt cry, prayer grounds you in something larger than your fear. Spirituality and psychology often meet here. Both affirm that connection, whether with God or with your own deeper self, is a powerful antidote to doubt. And then there's self-love in action. Speaking kindly to yourself in the mirror, keeping promises to yourself, or even placing a hand over your heart when you're anxious. These gestures signal safety to your nervous system. Your inner safe space is not about escaping reality. It's about creating an anchor within you so that no matter what storms come, you have a steady place to return to. Over time, this space becomes a home, a place where you are always enough. Chapter 7. The Power of Small Wins. Change doesn't always come in grand gestures. More often, it comes in quiet victories, the small wins that rebuild trust in yourself one step at a time. These are the moments when you follow through on a promise to yourself, face a fear, or simply show up, even imperfectly. Each small action is a vote for your own confidence. Research in habit formation shows that success compounds. Charles Duhigg, in The Power of Habit, explains that habits are built from tiny behaviors repeated consistently. Completing one manageable task creates momentum, activating the brain's reward system and reinforcing the belief, I can do this. Over time, these small wins accumulate, reshaping not just your behavior but the way you see yourself. Real-life stories illustrate this beautifully. Take Maya, a woman who struggled with public speaking for years. She started small, reading aloud to herself for 5 minutes each morning. Gradually, she spoke in front of her family, then a small class, and eventually led workshops confidently. Each step was modest, but together they transformed her self-belief. Small wins work because they interrupt the inner critic. Every time you succeed in a micro-action, you silence the voice that says, you're not capable. You're teaching your mind a new story, one where you are reliable, capable, and worthy of your own trust. To make small wins effective, start by breaking big goals into tiny, actionable steps. Celebrate completion, even if it seems trivial. Journaling your progress helps you see patterns of growth that might otherwise go unnoticed. Remember, rebuilding trust in yourself isn't about instant transformation. It's about consistent, compassionate action. Each small win is a brick in the foundation of a self you can rely on. Soon, what once felt impossible, the projects, the conversations, the dreams, becomes attainable because you've proven to yourself again and again that you are capable of showing up for your own life. Chapter 8. Reclaiming your confidence in relationships. Self-doubt doesn't stay confined to our inner world. It spills into how we relate to others. When you question your worth, it shows up in subtle ways, hesitating to speak your mind, over-apologizing, or tolerating less than you deserve. Doubt can make relationships feel like high-stakes performances instead of safe, nurturing connections. Attachment theory provides insight here. People with anxious attachment often seek constant reassurance, fearing rejection. Those with avoidant tendencies may withdraw to protect themselves from vulnerability. Either way, self-doubt drives behaviors that constrain even the healthiest relationships. Recognizing your attachment patterns helps you understand not just what you do, but why you do it. Boundaries are a key tool in reclaiming confidence. Research shows that people who set clear, respectful boundaries experience higher satisfaction in relationships and reduced anxiety. Boundaries are not walls, they are statements of self-respect. This is what I need. This is what I won't compromise. Communicating them confidently rewires the inner narrative from I must please to I deserve respect. Communication, too, is shaped by doubt. When we second-guess our opinions or feelings, we minimize our voice, leaving our needs unmet, practicing assertive communication. Expressing yourself honestly while remaining respectful strengthens both self-trust and connection with others. Studies confirm that assertiveness training improves confidence, reduces anxiety, and enhances relationship satisfaction. Real-life stories show the transformation. Consider Layla, who often felt unworthy in friendships. She started small, expressing her preferences, saying no without guilt, and asking for support when needed. Over months, her relationships deepened, not because others changed, but because she reclaimed her own voice. Reclaiming confidence in relationships is not about perfection. It's about presence, honesty, and self-respect. When you trust yourself, you can show up fully, love freely, and maintain healthy connections. And in doing so, you send a quiet but powerful message to both yourself and the world. I am enough. Chapter 9. Courage in the face of fear. Fear and self-doubt often arrive together, hand in hand, whispering that you're not ready, not capable, not enough. Courage does not mean the absence of fear. It means moving forward despite it. Every act of courage begins with a single choice: to act, to speak, to try, even when the inner critic protests. Neuroscience teaches us that fear triggers the amygdala, the brain's alarm system. Heart rates rise, muscles tense, and the mind scans for danger. Yet the prefrontal cortex, the rational, problem-solving part of the brain, can override that alarm when we take deliberate action. This is why confronting fear repeatedly strengthens resilience. The brain learns that discomfort does not equal disaster. Studies from the University of Pennsylvania show that people who gradually face their fears develop both confidence and emotional flexibility, proving that courage is a skill, not an innate trait. Consider real-life examples. Daniel, an aspiring entrepreneur, spent years doubting his ideas. Each time fear whispered, "You'll fail," he responded by taking one small step, reaching out to a mentor, drafting a business plan, or pitching to a friend. Those incremental actions built momentum, and eventually he launched his own thriving business. Courage wasn't the absence of fear. It was action paired with persistence. Resilience is also reinforced by reflection. Journaling after each courageous act, even a minor one, helps your mind internalize the experience. I faced fear. I survived. I grew. Over time, these reflections expand your comfort zone, showing you that doubt is not a stop sign. It's a signal to move carefully, consciously, but forward nonetheless. Courage is contagious. As you act despite doubt, you inspire yourself and others. Every step taken with fear present is a declaration. I am stronger than my doubt. I am capable of more than I imagined. The next time fear appears, remember, it's not the absence of fear, but the choice to move through it that shapes your life. Chapter 10. Living beyond self-doubt. Imagine waking each day with a sense of ease, a mind that still notices doubt but no longer obeys it. A life where your inner critic speaks, but you respond with calm confidence, compassion, and clarity. Living beyond self-doubt doesn't mean perfection. It means freedom, freedom to act, to dream, and to fully inhabit your own story. This freedom is built on daily practices. Self-love is your foundation, reminding yourself that you are worthy, kind, and capable. Gratitude is the lens through which you see the beauty already present in your life, shifting focus from lack to abundance. Courage is the muscle you exercise with each step forward, no matter how small, each time you choose action over hesitation. Together, these practices create a life rooted in resilience, hope, and possibility. Neuroscience shows that consistent positive practices actually reshape the brain. The pathways that once reinforced self-doubt weaken, while new circuits of confidence and self-compassion grow stronger. This is proof that change is not only possible, it is built into the very structure of your mind. So how do you begin? Start each day with a mindful breath, a kind word to yourself, or a small intentional action toward your goals. Celebrate the wins, however minor. Reflect on what doubt whispered and how you answered. Journal your journey. Stand firm in your boundaries. Speak your truth. And here's a question to reflect on and share. What is one area in your life where self-doubt has been strongest? And what small step could you take today to reclaim your power? I invite you to comment below, share your experiences, and connect with others on the same journey. Like, subscribe, and continue this exploration with me. Your story matters, and your courage matters. Living beyond self-doubt is not a distant dream. It is your present, unfolding moment by moment. Each act of self-love, gratitude, and courage is a declaration. I am here. I am enough. And I choose to live fully. Until next time, stay rooted in self-love.